Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for TWiT specials is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
TWiT specials are brought to you by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, go to Squarespace and use the offer code NAB4. And by Pond5, the world's stock media marketplace. If you're a media maker who needs stock video clips, photos, illustrations, music tracks, or sound effects, check out Pond5 for instant downloads at the best prices anywhere. And for 50 files absolutely free through May 31st, go to pond5.com/twit. We continue live from the NAB Show 2012. Hello, everybody. Leo Laporte in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And we've got more from the show floor at the NAB Show. In fact, we've got a lot more coming up, field pieces from all over the show floor. In fact, I think we could start right now. Alex Lindsay is out covering NAB. Alex, what do you got?
Hi, this is Alex Lindsay at the AJA booth, and I'm here with an old friend, Gary Attic. Hey, Gary.
Hey, how's it going, Alex? It's good to see you.
Yeah. I was walking by, I was like, hey, there's Gary. So this is a pretty nifty little device over here.
Well, it's one of the things that AJA has brought to the table about 4K now. I mean, this is definitely a 4K NAB show. So now with 4K, you have to be able to record and play back the units. And that's been the bastion of been the bastion of codex recorders, S2 recorders. The high-end guys have been able to do this for a while, but bringing it to an affordable workflow. We're talking about $39.95, under $4,000.
So this is pretty much the same price that we were used to paying.
Yeah, right. The old Key Pro, $39.95. The rack-mount Key Pro, $39.95. You'll pay extra for the SSD drives in this, but it actually allows you to do four 3G inputs. I got to screw it up. Let me try it again.
Whoa. 4 3G inputs? Okay, so I want to make sure that people understand what he just said, because, I mean, so 3G, standard 422 SDI is 1.5G.
Correct.
So uncompressed is 3G, and that not even...
Dual Link is 3G. Dual Link is 3G.
Right. Dual Link,
2K and Dual Link are 3G.
So like my 950 that I have is a Dual Link, and it's two 1.5s that get us to 3G, and that's two inputs, and it's complicated and everything else. So we're talking about being able to do 4 simultaneous 4G connections?
4 simultaneously 3G connections in and out. Now, one of the advantages of the recorder is actually not just that, but it does quad HDSDI for conventional. You could do dual link, you could do dual 3G. But it also offers HDMI and HDSDI as dedicated monitoring sources. So you can do a 4K monitoring, you can do a 2K monitoring HDSDI, and you can do a 1080p dedicated with full debear over HDSDI. So it's not just a recorder now; it offers a monitoring solution also.
And that's a big deal, because when we're on set, we're trying to figure out how do we see what we're doing, and that's always been an issue, is being able to see that. Now, when it's got 4 inputs coming in, can you record all of them?
You can record all of them, but right now, AJ hasn't announced anything other than 4K for the box. So whether anybody's thinking about, I can do multiple recorders, there's no discussion of that whatsoever right now. Because the focus right now is to get the 4K working and have it ship with the C500 when it's released later this year.
Right, and this is really the perfect match for the C500.
Oh, sure. Now we can go ProRes or later DNX HD as a 4K file. You could go into Final Cut. You can go into Avid. You can go into all the tools that we have right now in true 4K. So it's important for the users to know that this makes 4K possibility, a realistic workflow without having to do secondary debarring like they do with Red, like they do with Airy, like they do with any of the other Cortex.
So you're basically able to, if I'm a compositor and I'm doing a bunch of green screen, and I do a lot of green screen. So I'm doing a bunch of this stuff, and I want to record it all. If I want to, I can record it all to Apple ProRes, 4x4 or other formats, and just I'm done.
Or you're also able to pass the signal out over Thunderbolt to a laptop and use AGA toolsets to record the frame sequences at 4K. So now I'm recording the raw files, much like you would do with DPXs, with Airy Raw, with those kinds of format. You're doing a frame sequence recording via the laptop and the Thunderbolt device.
So this does everything that the IOXT does, as well as being able to record locally.
Not quite, but close. Yeah,
very, very
close. Yeah,
so it can act as your interface.
It acts as an interface only to the computer, not as an IO device like the IOXT is. It's actually, as it's connected to the camera, it's acting as the pass-through, an EDE device, to send that to the laptop. So in that instance, it is working much like a card would do. So it's passing that EDE signal as a raw, uncompressed signal.
So for instance, I could have that raw signals coming into my laptop. I can open up Scopebox or open up other things, look at all of that stuff. I can plug it in as a live camera to a source. I can do all the things that I would normally do with an interface. But I can also hit record and record a 4x4 or you know,
DXs or whatever you want. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Now, one of the other advantages that AJ has done here is not here at this, but it's a little device called a T-Tab. So we've talked about the IOXT and we've talked about this and Thunderbolt. AGA is showing a little tiny device, it's like 1 by 2 inches, that is Thunderbolt I/O. Power and HDMI plus HD-SDI out from applications that support video I/O. Not like monitor display and DisplayPort. We're talking about true video signal I/O from a $250 device.
Oh, that's
and it's
sexy.
A little tiny thing.
And does it SDI out?
It's SDI and HDMI 1.4a, so it actually includes to the 3D spec.
And is that going to do? So I can take my desktop or output.
Well, it's replacing. I mean, think about it as an output device that runs. It uses the IOXT drivers, so it's actually sending a video signal out through the application using the existing driver structure. But it takes away the box because we're just trying to do output with embedded audio. So now I've got a device where I can go into a presentation, go on set, go some of the places where I need little tiny connectivity, and be able to still output HDMI and HD-SDI from whatever application I'm using.
Is that going to do a legal 5994?
Yeah, no, it's totally legal, and it'll actually the HDMI will support up to 2K. So,
wow.
Yeah, for $250, it's like, and it's tiny. Oh, it's so tiny. It's all the way on the other side.
We'll have to check that.
We'll go, yeah. But it's amazing now that they're going to that. I mean, with the Rack Mount Key Pro, the offers DNX, the release of the free DNX updates, AJ is really pushing the bounds on some of the technology right now. But 4K this is definitely a 4K show, and to show.
It's amazing. It's amazing that 2 years ago people were saying we don't even know what you would do with 4K.
Right, and now it's like there's a dozen monitors. I think there's 14 cameras at the show that shoot 4K or better. This is kind of an amazing time to be in the video industry because remember last year was 3D, and this year it's like 3D's gone. It's all 4K.
We had all that bandwidth. We had to do something with it.
Hey, it's the same amount of bandwidth, and the interesting thing is it takes as much bandwidth to do 3D as it does to do 4K. So you're going to see a resurgence on that, I think, really quickly. So.
Thanks so much, Gary.
Oh, thank you, Alex. Have a great time.
Hi, this is Alex Lindsay back at the Autodesk booth with Mark Hammaker, and we are talking about Smoke, which is big, big changes.
Yeah, well, we made some pretty significant changes to Smoke. I would say the top 2 changes everyone's talking about are a new workflow designed for editors that brings our high-end effects workflow into the timeline. But also big news, the price has changed significantly. So Significantly. Smoke is now just under $3,500, so $3,495.
And that I know that must have been that took a lot of meetings to get that sorted out.
Well, big companies, everything takes a lot of meetings. But I'll tell you, Alex, all the changes in Smoke they're all based on looking at the market and talking to people out there. So I mean, from the UI design, we did this by testing with editors and not engineers, not our existing high-end users that have very specific needs and workflows. We really went to people that didn't use our products, and we said, how can we implement what we do well in a workflow that'll work for you?
Well, and that's been the real challenge. I mean, so Smoke is an incredibly powerful application. I've had a chance to play with it a fair bit, and it's incredibly powerful, but for someone who doesn't do that all day, who didn't grow up in the discrete family, it can be daunting, or the older version could be daunting.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you one of the things we did to test it. We took the older version of Smoke, the version that we had first introduced on the Mac 2 years ago. We put editors who knew Final Cut Pro, Studio, Avid Media Composer, Adobe Workflows. We put them in front of it. We said, here's some media and a task. Now go at it. And we didn't help them. And most of these people could barely get media into the system, and they couldn't edit with it. So what we realized is we had this incredibly powerful effects tool set, but nobody was even getting to it. They weren't scratching the surface of what it could do.
And that's the challenge for people to understand is that Smoke, of course, has an editor in there, and the idea is that you're finishing all of these pieces, you're bringing all of them in, and you have the power of being able to edit a piece together, but also add all the sweetening, all the effects, all the color corrections, all the other pieces that normally you would send out from your editor, right?
Absolutely. So I like to say that Smoke is for editors that do more than edit, meaning if you've got an NLE and you have to supplement it with a compositing program and a color grading program and 5 other plugins and things like that, what we try to do with Smoke is put those essential finishing and effects tools right in the timeline. And we've introduced a new node-based workflow, which is pretty cool. So you can just right-click on any segment or group of segments, and you can go into a node workflow. But again, it was all about making it easy. So like, let's say you did 5 or 6 things in the timeline. You know, you're working like an editor, you do an effect here, you do a filter effect here. When you go into that node workflow, which is called Connect Effects, it repurposes all that work and rebuilds that composite as a node-based workflow.
And what's really important for our viewers, I mean, we're talking about nodes and for the TWiT viewers, and what nodes do is it's really a flow graph. It's the ability to say, I'm going to take this information and I'm going to connect these things, and then I'm going to pull these things in. And a lot of times, layer-based effects, whether you're using Photoshop or After Effects or Smoke or anything else, the hard part with a lot of those is that it can get very convoluted because I have these things in the time, but I also want to do something, connect them. And this node-based is so powerful when you get used to it. I'm a heavy node-based compositor. When you get used to it, it's just very, very hard to go back, and it's great to see that it's easy to get to.
Yeah, and the idea was to be flexible, because one of the things, there are lots of node-based applications out there that do compositing very well, but they're very task-specific to that, and we found a lot of people that are editing felt like that was pulling them into a different world. So what we try to do in Smoke is, I mean, it's the marketing term, but we really did want to connect editing and effects together so that when you're in the node-based world, you can still see the timeline elements and do a traditional slide and trim to make an adjustment, as opposed to throwing out all the editorial and putting on your compositor hat, even if it's in the same application. We didn't want to do that.
And trying to tie that together, we've actually tried to tie that together in Final Cut with Conduit, which is our little software that we make, and trying to tie that timeline together with a node-based operation is not trivial.
No, it was a lot of work. And what we were able to do is leverage some of the technology from our Flame visual effects system from previous versions of Smoke to kind of figure out what that best workflow is. And that's kind of one of the advantages I think we have is, like, we have this really good core of creative tools. Our challenge was to learn how to do it so that the market could use it in a way that they wanted it. So yeah, I agree. It's a lot of work, and I know our developers have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this release, but I'm just blown away by the reaction it's getting, because there's something about this UI, this version, that people just love it. They get it when they see it. So I'm hoping that we've really gotten it right, and what I'm really excited about is in June, we're going to put this thing out there as essentially a public beta. So no requirements, doesn't cost anything, it's fully functioning, and you'll be able to download this thing and start using it. You can even pre-register. So it's autodesk.com/smoke trial.
That's huge.
Yeah, pre-register, and in June when it's ready, we'll get it out there, and then we want the market to tell us what they think of it.
That's great. And so the public beta comes out in June, the full version sometime in the fall?
Yeah, but we're shooting for September, so we'll see how it goes. NAB is a show you can't miss. So, and I mean, just look at the excitement around Smoke. So we knew we had to get the product here, but I always hate it when manufacturers come out with something and they go, and you can have it in 6 months. It's like, hey, it's Christmas morning and you'll get it in June. It doesn't work that way. So we just want to make sure people can play with this thing.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Alex.
This is Alex Lindsay at the Autodesk booth at NAB 2012.
Thank you, Alex. We'll have more from the show floor at the NAB show, the National Association of Broadcasters show 2012 with Alex Lindsay in just a little bit. But first, I want to thank our sponsors who make this all possible. It's quite expensive, as you might imagine, to bring all this stuff down here and set it all up. And folks like Squarespace.com have made that possible. We're big fans. It's easy to talk about Squarespace.com. We use Squarespace for our inside.twit.tv blog. I'm setting up Leoville to use Squarespace, the new Squarespace 6. It is amazing. Now, let me explain what Squarespace is. It's both hosting and the best content management system out there. And it's nice to integrate the two because, well, you get some real benefits. First of all, it's great hosting. You will never run out of bandwidth. They've got a virtual server technology that means they can throw bandwidth at any site that starts getting very busy, including yours. So you never go down. You never get the TWiT effect with Squarespace.com. I know we've tried it over and over again. You can't bring it down. Also, because the content management system is integrated in, you always have the latest software. You always have all the security patches. You don't have to think about it. They do it for you. They keep it up to date. That's why I love Squarespace. Well, there's other reasons too. Take a look. It's so easy to use. Squarespace has great templates that make it possible to make a unique site that doesn't look like it's templated. How do they do that? Well, first you start with these great designer sites, and they've really enhanced them. There's a bunch new sites. They've got 13 new template redesigns, 85 new style options, 2 brand new templates. So you start with an existing template, but then you start customizing, and I mean customizing. You don't need to know any HTML, JavaScript, or CSS. You just click, drag, and drop, pick colors, pick types from the Google Web Font Library, 300 plus typefaces. Now, if you are a CSS programmer, if you do know how to do that, don't worry, you can still do that. In fact, they've got a fully equipped CSS editor built right in that includes complete colorization for your code. So, you know, I mean, this is really sweet. It automatically types out pieces and stuff. It's just really well done. So that's the design piece, but continue on. There's a lot more to Squarespace. Here's what you should do. Just go to squarespace.com, click the Try It Free button. All you need to provide, not a credit card, just name, email, name for your site, and password, and you've got it for 2 weeks. Everything Squarespace can do, all right there. Great photo galleries, social media integration, stats, form building. It goes on and on. It's best just to try it. If you decide to buy, pricing very affordable, as little as $8 a month when you buy a year package, and do buy that year package because if you do, you use the offer code NAB4, you'll take 10% off right up front. That's a significant savings. NAB4 is the offer code if you decide to buy. Great hosting, great software, $8 a month. This is a no-brainer. Please, before you look anywhere else, look at squarespace.com for your new site. Squarespace.com, when you decide to buy, use the code NAB4. Now we send you back out into the field where Alex Lindsay has more. Alex?
Hi, this is Alex Lindsay at the Haivision booth. I'm here with Todd Green. Hi, Todd.
How are you?
And I'm doing well, and I'm excited. So here's I have these boxes sitting in my office, and they're still in cardboard.
Oh, that's a shame. You need to get them out and start using them.
I know, they got here right before I left, and I was like, oh, but the Makitos are there. So these are Makitos, and these are encoders and decoders, right?
So we have a Makito encoder, we have a Makito decoder, we have standard def and high def.
And essentially what this allows you to do in this case is a point-to-point transmission. So I can have my HD go in, it can go over the internet, I can have the HD come back out the other end, so that if I need to get, and this is something that I have to deal with all the time, but I don't deal with it very well yet.
Right, so the Makito is actually a very universal box. It can obviously encode any video. We can multicast or unicast that video. So on a local area network, you can multicast it to unlimited desktop users, for example.
So wait, let me get that straight. So I can take that out and I can have it. How many desktop users can I send it to within a local network?
Unlimited. So with a multicast-enabled network, I could literally stream to unlimited desktops. Laptops or anything like that. We actually have a zero installation soft player that doesn't have to be installed and can work on anybody's OS, whether it's Windows or Macintosh or any other OS. And now we're also showing how that technology works on mobile devices too. So the same technology.
And from a presentation, so let's say we're doing a big event, and we've got projectors in 10 different rooms, and we need to make sure that all of them can play back the video. I can plug it into that box and then do a multicast to all of those, just do something that's going to pull it down on the other side.
Absolutely. We even have a set-top box that can help facilitate that as well. So you can deploy a very inexpensive set-top box or a decoder and do the same thing. So yeah, either way it would be more than what you need.
Now, one of the other things that you can do now is that you can, of course, you have the Kilobyte, which is more of a cloud solution, and you can actually take this and stream it into the cloud and then have it do the encodes to send it to your outputs.
That's exactly right. So with the Makito now, we're releasing the Makito with RTMP streaming as well as MPEG Transport Stream. And with our new HyperStream services, you can actually have both a transport stream or a RTMP flash stream go to our services cloud, and with our software as a service transcoder, I can literally transcode this to any over-the-top platform, whether it's iPhone, iPad, Android, or what have you.
and I can go to any of the services. Because once you get into that standard stream, now we're talking about being able to go to YouTube or to Ustream or to any of those.
Yeah. And more importantly, our HyperStream services is encoder agnostic. We can take in any competitive encoder, and what we've done is we've actually created a workflow that automates and simplifies day-to-day over-the-top streaming, and we've done that with a 2-button push capability, so any user within a button push or two can be streaming on the internet to unlimited mobile devices.
And one of the things that's important about that is that not only are oftentimes, so this is what we do, that's what my company does, and the big problem that we get into is we get to a location and we don't have 10 megabits a second, we don't have 20 megabits a second. What we can do is one little stream goes out, and then it's spread out to as many outputs that we possibly need.
Exactly. So we run into that a lot with House of Worship as well, right? They have very limited bandwidth. They have very limited resources. So again, within HyperStream Cloud, you send us your best possible video. And with our kilobyte encoders are actually designed for automatic bitrate control. The encoder itself will see the network traffic and scale itself up or down quality or performance levels to always give the best possible quality. So the encoder itself has the features to enable that in the most efficient manner. And then as well as the HyperStream services, you, again, give us the best quality. We will take care of the bandwidth limitations that you have by being able to stream out, unlimited users.
Normally what that looks like when we're doing it, when that breaks down, is that it just stops.
And that's exactly right. So with most competing products, if it runs into certain jitter and latency opportunities, and all of a sudden it just slows down to a crawl, it just stops altogether. And with our automatic bitrate controllability, the system will always continue to stream, and thus that network it totally drops out.
Now the Viper is adding one piece to it, so it does all of that, right? And then it also adds the recording capability.
Yeah, so the Viper is a self-contained appliance that basically has a touch panel on the front that is essentially a melding of all of our technology. It's a melding of our Makito high-performance encoders. It's a melding of our Video Furnace product. It's also a melding of our in-stream zero installation soft player. And so with that, we now have introduced the ability for it to stream to over-the-top with the HyperStream services. So within a single appliance, I can have high-performance encoding, and so it records 2 streams. It can play back 2 streams locally to a device. It can multicast those 2 streams to zero installation soft player instances on desktops and laptops locally. We can stream out to mobile devices, whether it's over the top or with our in-stream soft player instance. It's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it sounds like. And a nice little case that almost looks like a Mac.
It really is, and it's very cool and sexy. It's nice. Yeah.
Now, when you talk about the set-top box that you're sending out, what's the price when you said it's very inexpensive?
Set-top boxes are about $750 and go down from there. Yeah, so very inexpensive for a set-top box decoder. Yeah.
And again, if you're a school or an event coordination, then you're trying to support many projectors, many monitors. You can simply have this little piece, and then you plug that right in, and you're done.
Absolutely, or you can just use the desktop that may already be in the classroom, and with a zero installation soft player, that means there's nothing to install. So you can literally deploy our IPTV services with a server. Once I plug that server into the network, all desktops across all the entire platform, I don't have to touch them ever again. I don't have to worry about standards compliance or anything like that. It's all, that conversation's over.
A lot of us have been I've been doing this for a long time, and dealing with the pain, of being on the bleeding edge, and it really feels like this is kind of pulling this all back together. And I'm going to have to remind people, this used to be hard.
Yeah, it used to be, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to automate and simplify, and create the workflow that everybody can do with a couple of button pushes. I have everything I need, right?
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So earlier we saw what you want to build if you have 1,000 cameras and you have to send it out to 6 different outputs. But a lot of times what we actually need to do is be able to get somewhere, set down a switcher, set down your audio, and be able to stream it out to the internet or capture it or whatever. And SysLive has just the right tool for that. It's called the Route Case. So here's what this is. Now this is actually a little HS50. It's a Panasonic HS50 that they have kind of built around. I actually have one of those, and they're quite nice. So anyway, so what you have here is I can have 5 inputs. 4 of them can be SDI inputs, so those are HD SDI inputs. And then I can also have a DVI input. So I can take your computer input or something like that. So let's say you're doing an event where someone's got a PowerPoint presentation or some kind of computer output. You can bring that in as the 5th signal. as well as having 4 other camera signals. It'll also handle things like key fill. So if you want to send out graphics into 2 of those channels for lower thirds and so on and so forth, all of that's possible on this little case. So this little case here, I've got my inputs, and what's nice about this may seem a little messy, but when you're working and you're trying to set something up really quickly and you're trying to DX things, having this right up here is really, really useful. So all of your inputs here are there, and that allows you to have a completely enclosed case. So then you also have audio. So one of the big things with a lot of these switchers is that the switchers are they don't really pay attention to the audio, and oftentimes that's a good thing because you have a lot of different camera sources and a lot of different inputs. You kind of want them just to ignore that, but in the field, you still need to manage that. You still need to be able to mix it. And oftentimes, a single person can do that on a simple project that you would use for this kind of case. So what you have here is you just have a basic audio mixer along with the video switcher here. So you've got all your inputs. And again, all these inputs have been all built out across the top here to make this all work. You can really tell when you look at this that this is it's really a switcher / mixer that was built by someone who actually needed to use it. This is something that is coming from experience. And so anyway, what happens here, you can see if you look at the outer part of this box here, as we start to shut it, you have a whole switching system, and this is all going to close up into a nice little briefcase. One of the other problems that you get into is when you're traveling a lot, I need to make sure that I can actually put it in my carry-on. I need to have it be a carry-on. I don't want to check it because I don't know if it'll actually show up when it's mission critical. So definitely something that is pretty slick if you're looking at doing something on the road and you actually need it to work. It's got solid components that are internal. It is miniaturized, and it's very, very high quality. This is the SysLive router case.
Thank you, Alex. We'll have more from the show floor at the NAB show. I hope you're having fun. The whole goal of our broadcast when we do these NAB shows or any trade show is to make it feel like you're there. So I think when you come to NAB, really the point is to go from vendor to vendor, meet the vendors, see what they've got, and that's what we're trying to do. So I'll be going out in the field in a little bit. Scott Wilkinson, Kirk Harnack, and of course Alex will continue, and we'll bring you more and more of the coverage of we'll try to get to every single booth at the NAB show. We may not be able to do it in 4 days, but we're gonna do our best. So we'll send it back out to Alex, who was the first man out of the gate, and of course we have a lot of pieces with him. He is an animal. Thank you, Alex. But first, let's thank our friends at Pond 5. Pond 5 is actually here at the NAB show. They have a beer garden from 3 to 6, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If you're at the NAB show, they have the NAB Media Maker Beer Party. I'm going. I'm out of here. It's not for a couple hours. Probably a little too early to start drinking. From 3 to 6 in the afternoon. You'll see some great demos. If you're a media creator, you might want to do this because Pond 5 is the dynamic marketplace for people who make media. You upload your own content, pro quality, of course. You set your own price, and you get industry-leading royalties. So it's really a great deal. They're at the booth SL7409 at NAB. So go over there. Now, if you are somebody like me and you want to use sound effects, videos, photos, illustrations, After Effects products in your content, you've got to check out pond5.com. P-O-N-D and the number 5.com. Look at this. 1,058,200 video clips and 15,000 new clips this week alone. 7.6 million photos, 680,000 illustrations, 70,000 music tracks, 244,000 sound effects, and 1,000 new ones this week. I'm kind of a fan of the sound effects. You can go and you can listen to these. They have a watermark in them, but you can see all the different sound effects. It's just amazing. Here's a hollow whoosh. Here's a white noise. Here's waves and seagulls. So these are great because when you did that video of the kids at the beach and you were shouting into the camera and, it's horrible, you can cover that up. You can get... That's a fireball burst here. Let me do that again. Whoosh. Glass breaking. Crickets at night. The outside buzz of people. Wait a minute, we don't need that one. We've got that one. Pond5.com. Take a look. They have every week a free stock video footage clip. This week it is a dawn time lapse. This is a 1920 by 1080p video that you can get Absolutely free. A time lapse of dawn. Of course, the watermark is removed when you get the video. Now, one of the things that's great about this is what they call royalty free. You pay once, and you can use it as long as you want in any medium you want. So this is a way to avoid copyright problems. You just go to Pond 5, get a very affordable clip. You got it. You own it. Use it as much as you want. They also have sound effects, images for your PowerPoint presentations. And I'm going to give you something really special. Pond5.com/twit. Don't tell anybody. Pond5.com/twit. We've got 50 clips that are yours, 50 files that are yours, free for a limited time, only through the end of the month, through the end of May 31st. Pond5.com/twit. That's just for you. 50 free clips. Actually, I should probably say, tell everybody. Tell your friends. Tell everybody about Pond 5. Pond5.com. We thank them for their support of our NAB coverage. And I'm going to go over there to the beer party while Alex Lindsay continues to do his job covering the show floor. Alex?
Hi, this is Alex Lindsay, and I am at the Red booth here with Ted Schilowitz. Hey, Ted.
Hi, Alex. Always a pleasure to see you.
It's always good. I think this is kind of our reunion week.
Yeah, well, you've been touching the Red for a long time. We did an early prototype shoot with Red 1s up in San Francisco with, I think it was one of the first 15, 20 cameras made, and you had it working. We were doing some testing, and it's come a long way since then. Yeah.
It's come a long way, and it's just it's amazing to watch not only how far Red's come, but how it's just driving the industry, towards what we're seeing now.
Yeah, we're really pleased that everyone seems to be getting on the bandwagon now.
But they can't keep up.
No, not.
They're like, everyone's got 4K, and they're like, well, we have something a little bit bigger.
Yeah, well, we're going to 6K now, which is remarkable in so many ways. For people that are tracking the world, they know that we're always on this constant upgrade path. We're always pushing the envelope as far as we can. So we moved from our original M 4K sensor to the MX sensor, and that was an upgrade for our customers, very inexpensive. Then we went from 4K to 5K, from Red 1 into Epic, which is what you're seeing here. The next option, which is coming by the end of the year, is going from 5K to 6K with the same very low-cost upgrade for the customers. So.
Who's using 6K? Why do people want to go from 4K? Here's the education. Is that 2 years ago, people were asking, why don't we go from 2K to 4K? Now we're asking, why are we going from 4K to 6K?
Right. So the question is a really interesting question, right? And the answer is not so much what am I going to see on a big screen, it's what can I do with a tool that can give me so much resolution, right? So if you think about what this camera is, it's a movie camera, it's a still camera, right? It's both, right? And this is just one of many configurations you can put this in.
And so as a still camera, this is essentially a 24 megapixel?
This one is a 14 megapixel still camera. The 6K will be another, I have to find out what the actual megapixel count is, but it's up significantly higher, right? And already this is being used for all kinds of stills work all over the world, high fashion stuff.
And the interesting thing, though, is that as we see this convergence between print and video and everything else, you have still photographers that want to be taking those stills, but also possibly just want to let the shutter roll, let everything go and capture that video.
Absolutely. So one of the things I pose the question to a lot of DPs and stuff when we talk about what does resolution mean and how am I going to best use it. So you think about taking it back to the days of motion picture film. And if you could say, if I could shoot every movie I made in 70 millimeter film, right, as an interesting option, but it didn't cost me a bloody fortune to do it, would I be interested in that? Of course, they say, well, yeah. Okay, let me ask you another question. If I could do every single movie I made in IMAX-style resolution, but it didn't cost you what it cost to shoot an IMAX film.
And it wasn't the size of an IMAX camera.
Would that be of interest to you? Well, of course.
Well, right? You're future-proofing.
Absolutely. So, as you know, because you track all these shows with me, like as we run around the world, the dynamic of 4K is outside of the lab experimental, maybe someday you might see it, very quickly becoming real, right?
Again, it was only a year or two ago where everyone was just going, you never need more than 2K, and now everybody's gone down that path, and all the people that started at 4K are kind of glad they did.
Right. So we're all about that. That's from the very beginnings of our company. That's always what we've been thinking about: is where is the industry going, and how do we stay ahead of that curve? Well ahead of that curve.
And the challenge is, the advantage that you have is dexterity, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We're small, we're nimble. We're not as small as we used to be as a company, but we still maintain that same sort of rebellious spirit, right? We're all about breaking the status quo and understanding that complacency gets you nowhere in this world. Now, given there's a price to pay, right? There's a price to pay for pushing the envelope so hard and so fast. Is sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you make missteps. Sometimes things aren't what exactly you want them to be when they hit their targets. But to me and to a lot of the people in the Red world and to our company, that's the beauty of what we do, is the creative experimentation of what if we did this and released it way faster than anyone thought we ever would.
Without the overhead of a big corporation trying to figure out how it's going to protect its upline, how it's going to protect all the other downlines, how it's going to figure out all of that stuff, you're able to make all of that stuff work.
And the good thing is we pass all that value on to our customers, right? Because our customers are in the same... We don't feel like we sell things to our customers. We are in partnership with our customers. They are our best sales agents, right?
There's a lot of Reds around, and a lot of my friends and a lot of us have are playing with our Red, and it is something that you really feel not like a customer, but like part of the family.
You are absolutely part of the family, and the family's really big now. But
it's getting huge.
But everyone has a really significant part in making it real. From the smallest indie guys doing stuff with $3 in a bag of nuts to make a movie, all the way up to the Peter Jacksons and David Finchers of the world making the world's biggest movies, right?
And a lot of times, again, what I'm always talking to people about is whether you have a Red or not, everything that we're seeing right now in the industry and all these resolution changes and the price changes and everything else, I believe is really a result of what Red is doing.
Yeah, we think so as well. And we're thrilled. You think from a competitive standpoint, well, now everybody's starting to try and get into our world. But we want people to be in this world of resolution.
It validates the market.
Right. It's important to people to understand that 1080p world is just a small moment in time. We'll all look back at that, and that's going to feel like standard def to us very, very quickly, right? 4K and beyond is absolutely where things are now. It's all becoming very mainstream, very logical. You're seeing it everywhere. So that's the reality of it. So, on the product side, if you want to see some of the cool stuff we're doing, so this is our Epic camera, right? Here's one of our Red Prime lenses. This is a new product that's coming out relatively soon. There's a camera assistant named Steve Meisler. And we take a lot of feedback from the industry. We listen to the DPs and the camera assistants and try and build the tools to make their jobs better, to make their life better, right? So before this kind of situation, if you were going to rig up a camera in full-on professional work mode for high-end cinema, you would hardly even see the camera. It would just be this full-on land of spaghetti and cables and all kinds of stuff.
I have a lot of cameras that look like that.
Right? So the logic for this was, what if we could build a better mousetrap? What if we could actually make something with all the stuff that a high-end movie job needs? Wireless audio, wireless video, wireless, it's called fizz control, focus, iris, zoom. So we're working with our friends at Reality Technica, right? That build all this wireless stuff and they do all the 3D rigs. So if you'll see here, I've got wireless control.
And you're doing wireless transmission?
Wireless transmission, so there's wireless video. And on this camera behind me, you can get some B-roll of that. There's a smaller version of this with the wireless video. The wireless video is integrated into this as well. But it feeds an uncompressed 1080p signal for monitoring while we're shooting our 5K.
At what distance?
Oh, well, it's whatever you want. You can add amplifiers to it. But in this case, we're running it across the booth, right? So
that'd be enough for me.
In a normal production environment, you'll have 50, 75 feet, whatever you want kind of thing.
You said it's uncompressed 1080p?
It's uncompressed 1080p coming out onto the feed, and then you can do whatever you want with it when it lands on the other side. Make H.264 or ProRes or whatever you want. This is a new product that we're doing. So this is sometimes this looks a little odd, but it's actually incredibly brilliant. So if you look at this camera here, these are the shipping camera monitors. So this is our 5-inch LCD, which is standard configuration. This is a new one that we're designing. It's a 9-inch LCD, and it's full touchscreen, just like the little guy, right? So we control everything this way. And when you hold on to the menus there, you get all the sub-menus. But from a focus standpoint, you can really see when things are in focus on this thing, right? And you can see, of course, the low light performance. I mean, there's essentially no light out there, and you look how good it is. Now, if I wanted to, I could just boost this up to, let's say, 2,000 ISO.
And I have to say that this is one of those things that I think the only company that I don't think needs to just get an iPhone app is Red, because the interface actually works.
iPhone app, right.
Exactly. And it really changes everything about how quickly you can make those decisions on set and how quickly you can make that all work.
What's nice, you hold on any logical area and you get the logical sort of sub-menus. So, we can go into a focus mode where you get this sort of super high contrast focus mode. We can go into this edge focus mode. We can do all kinds of cool and interesting stuff. We can magnify to check focus, so we know when we really got it in focus.
That's great. Now, is this stuff shipping yet?
The 9-inch is not shipping yet, but this is coming relatively soon. Few months.
Much sooner than the chip.
Yeah, the Dragon sensor should be by the end of the year.
Fantastic. And is that something that, again, that Red users will be upgrading the chip?
It's roughly the same price point as we did for the first upgrade from the Red 1. It's about $6,000. So the tagline 6K for 6K.
Well, and it's interesting that Red 1 users will be able to change the chip out in their original camera.
We have to do it for them, obviously.
Oh no, but
fairly sophisticated thing, but yes.
But that's a revolutionary thing. But
right.
The people made an investment in a piece of hardware, and they're able to continue to upgrade it because usually that's we're not seeing anything.
Right. Yeah. No, the other manufacturers don't seem to get what we get. Is that if you're driving this fast and you've made this bond with your customers, you need to give those customers. You need to exceed their expectations.
And I think the other advantage of that also. I think the other advantage of that is that for a customer, every time they go to buy a camera, when they have to upgrade, that's the decision process of when do I, is this still the camera I want? And for Red users, it's just, of course, that's their ecosystem.
Right. We literally give you a brand new camera every cycle without having to bite the bullet and go, oh man, can I really afford to do this, right? So.
That's awesome. Thanks, Ted.
Sure, my pleasure.
And thank you. This is Alex Lindsay at the Red booth at NAB 2012.